And right now, we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick here with Katie Greifeld, taking you through to that closing bell with a global simulcast. We're joined now by Massar and Tim Stenovec in the radio booth. Welcome to our audiences across all of our Bloomberg platforms. Massar,
yes.
This is the second day in a row we've seen massive outperformance by the Dow Jones Industrial Average.
What does that mean?
This will be the most we ever talk about the Dow Jones Industrial Average.
What does that mean?
In days. I don't know.
Well, yesterday it meant that NVIDIA wasn't in it. That's what it meant.
It's either a harbinger of things to come or a harbinger of gloom and doom.
But do you know, I hate to say this, Romaine, but you and I are old enough to remember that that's when people would mostly talk about the Dow Jones Industrial Average and not necessarily the other indices. So I don't know what it means when we're talking about it this much.
I think it's cute. Carol thinks I'm as old as she is.
I think it's cute that you think I'm as old as you are.
How old are you, Tim?
Katie, your turn.
I don't think it means much that the Dow is outperforming. I do think it means that Goldman is having a great day. So too is Cisco. That's a weight in the Dow, and that's a company that reports in the next coming minutes. So there you have it.
Yeah, and I think the Cisco earnings are going to be good. Of course, you know, this is kind of the classic bridge between kind of the old school tech, if you will, kind of the back in the dot-com bubble, the telecom build out, and now the AI infrastructure build out, and the idea that Cisco, at least for right now, appears to have found a bit of a niche for itself in that AI space. It'll be interesting to see what those results look like in just a few minutes' time.
You know, a lot of people are comparing this era to the first dot-com bubble era, and there are some similarities too with where we're seeing Cisco and Cisco's performance, Romaine, just in recent months.
All right. Well, I know you hate to hear it, Katie Greifeld, but the Dow Jones Industrial Average not only higher on the day, it's at a record high and has actually outperformed the S&P in 6 of the past 8 sessions. We're seeing a 0.7% gain here on the day, up more than 300 points. The S&P is poking out a gain, but only about 4 points or less than 0.1%. The NASDAQ Composite and NASDAQ 100 each going to finish in the red on the day, as is the Russell 2000, which drops about 0.3%.
All right. I'm going to go there. We've got 20 names in the Dow Jones.
You did not. You did not.
Higher in today's session. All right. In the S&P, 296 names gaining ground, 205 to the downside.
Now, if Katie's circle is the Dow, I'm going to scream.
Can you imagine if the producers did that to me? No, I don't think Finley would. Let's take a look at the circle, which shows the sectors in the S&P 500, the Standards & Poor's 500. You can see that big tech there represented. That is one of your best gainers on the day. Healthcare also having a big day. So too did financials. I mentioned Goldman being higher today. In terms of what didn't perform, energy is one of your biggest losers on the day. So too is communication services. That includes Amazon. Almost an even split. Of course, there's only 11 sectors, 6 of them, though, in the green and 5 in the red, Carol.
All right, folks, as we wait earnings, AMD, your top gainer in the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100, a gain of 9% in today's session. The company projected accelerating sales growth over the next 5 years, driven by strong demand for its data center products. Remember, they had a meeting yesterday, and the CEO making some comments. She said the total AI chip market will reach $1 trillion by 2030. So again, that stock definitely an outperformer. All of the airlines, check it out, folks. Among your top gainers in the S&P 500, you have United up 5%. You have Delta up 4.7%. SkyWest up about 4%. Wow. What's the matter with Delta?
I got a little beef with Delta. But
yeah, I know you did.
What happened?
You did.
What happened?
You got stranded.
Nothing happened.
You got stranded. All right. Anyway, expectations, hopes for the government opening. That has given some life to all of the air traffic controllers. Maybe some of that will ease. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said today that the administration aims to start lifting flight curbs within a week after the government reopens. So a time frame that comes just ahead of that very busy and important Thanksgiving holiday season.
Were you at an airport recently or something, Romaine?
You was.
Sadly.
Okay.
I think I spent more time at the airport this weekend than with my family.
Oh, okay. Real quickly, Cisco going to report earnings any moment. That stock, as Katie mentioned earlier, an outperformer in today's session, or Romaine mentioned. So we're looking for that AI payoff because the stock is getting very close near its all-time high. Stock up 3% today.
All right, Carol with the gainers. I got the decliners. I want to start with Circle Internet Group, down 12.2% today. The stablecoin issuer fell as concern that declining interest rates will weigh on future returns overshadowed better than expected third quarter revenue and earnings. We did speak to Jeremy Allaire a little earlier on Bloomberg Markets. And he made the point that growth in the stablecoin industry, that more people adopting these will offset some of the declining rates that they're declining revenue that they're getting from rates coming down. Still, though, analysts and investors questioning what happens moving forward in a declining rate environment. Revenue did increase to $740 million. That came in above the average analyst estimate. Also, shares of Paramount Skydance fell today by 7%. They were up close to 10% yesterday after earnings. Took a bit of a hit today. No fundamental news, but we did see shares move even lower than they were earlier in the session after Democratic Representatives Jamie Raskin and Frank Pallone Jr. wrote to Paramount Skydance CEO David Ellison asking that the company comply with an investigation into the Paramount Skydance merger. And finally, BlackRock Coffee with its first post-IPO earnings report.
Oh, cool. I didn't know Larry Fink was branching out.
That's funny.
Thank you.
It's 2 words, not 1 word, okay?
Okay.
BlackRock,
right.
2 words.
They have not been sued yet?
I haven't seen the news there. Okay. Down 5% today. BlackRock Coffee Bar. This after the company reported its first quarter earnings report, its first one since the IPO back in September. It opened 11 new stores in the third quarter of the year. Total revenue up 24% compared to the prior period. Shares up around 15% since that IPO, but off 17% from those all-time highs.
All right, we should remind our viewers that we are awaiting potentially for a vote in the House of Representatives down in Washington that could potentially bring an end to this 40-plus day government shutdown, the longest ever. And of course, with the end of that shutdown, in theory, would come the resumption of economic data, and that played a big factor in the moves that you saw in the Treasury market today, a rally in Treasury prices that push yields lower in anticipation that that data, once we start to see it, will actually ratify the need for more rate cuts.
All right, so good to know. Hey, listen, as we await some earnings crossing, including Cisco, just in case you guys were worried about Kim Kardashian and her financial future.
Yeah.
Looks like she just got a valuation of about $5 billion, a new funding round, Katie.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Cisco earnings crossing the wire right now. Sorry to interrupt your Kim Kardashian conversation.
Go on.
Actually, they're not crossing the wire. I was joking.
Oh, stop. We did the wipe and everything.
Wait.
I know, practice.
Wait.
You could do Webtoon, Romaine. Why don't you do Webtoon?
All right. Well, anyway, I don't know. I mean, Webtoon, of course, having a deal here with Warner Brothers, going to create some content for them. The share is moving higher here in the after-hours trade. That is the main headline. Actually, they're moving lower. Excuse me. It had gotten a little bit of a pop on that news, but you see the numbers here on your screen here, a miss on a couple of key metrics, and that does appear now to be pushing the shares lower, down by about 20%. I do think we should turn back to Cisco. We are starting to get that trickling across the wire right now. It may take a while for us to break through these numbers, but they are providing a forecast for the full year adjusted EPS range 408 to 414. That's a slight nudge higher from the previous guidance that they had given, guys, where they were looking at adjusted EPS of $4 to 406. So just basically a slight modification higher here. The company also saying that revenue for the full year will be $60.2 billion to $61 billion. The low end of that range is just a smidge above the high end of the previous range that it had given.
Yeah, so we're getting the guide here, and you can see it's boosting shares by about 4%. Still waiting for some details here. And here's a little bit more. Second quarter adjusted EPS coming in between $1.01 to $1.03. The estimate, for context, had been for 99 cents, so a bit of a beat there. They also see second quarter revenue between $15 billion to $15.2 billion. That is also above the estimated $14.72 billion. So a lot of raising going on here, and you can see that in the shares. Again, higher by 4%, Carol, and this is a company where the bar was fairly high going into these numbers.
Yeah, gross margin sees second quarter adjusted gross margin 67.5% to 68.5%. The estimate 68.2%. And Chuck Robbins, chair and CEO of Cisco, I'm just looking at the PR Newswire release. We had a solid start to fiscal 2026, and Cisco is on track to deliver our strongest year yet. He said the widespread demand for our technologies highlights the critical role of secure networking and the value of our portfolio as customers move quickly to unlock the potential of AI. And this is really important to this company's future.
Okay, you're looking at Cisco. I'm looking at what's happening with Flutter Entertainment, that is. Third quarter adjusted earnings per share coming in at $1.64. The company sees fiscal year U.S. revenue at $7.17 billion. It saw $7.58 billion. The estimate was for $7.47 billion. That third quarter revenue missing estimates. Shares right now in the after hours down about 6.2%. Third quarter average monthly players, $14.13 million. Flutter third quarter revenue coming in at $3.79 billion. That below estimates. FanDuel and CME Group unveil a new prediction markets platform as well.
And as Katie said, the expectations for Cisco were pretty high. That stock rallying in the aftermarket up 4%, and it's already up about 25% year to date ahead of these results. So we'll look for more on Cisco and certainly on that call with investors and analysts. All right, guys, that's a wrap.